reasons why people struggle to follow God is because they don't have the support that they need, or they don't perceive that they have the support that they need. And so when God is calling you to go higher, when you say you're following God, what we really need to realize is that we are following him into a question. We are literally walking towards a question mark. And, you know, God is not necessarily going to give you all of the details. He'll show you the big picture and say, you know, come follow me. And that is where the walking by faith and not by sight comes into play. But it is as we begin to start walking and we feel like we may not have the necessary support that people don't continue to move forward in the things that God is calling them to do. The kicker here is that God already knew that you would feel that you wouldn't have the support, but he called you to do it anyway. So what do? Do you continue walking forward and moving forward even though people may not believe in you and believe in the vision? Or do you stop? Do you stay stagnant? Do you say you were out of your mind and discredit all of the things that you know that you should do? Well, I've had to make these decisions more times than not in order to continue to progress in whatever God has called me to do. And I want to let you know that it is possible to move forward and to do what God has called you to do without the support that you feel that you need. Now, if God knew that you were going to feel this way, but he called you to do it anyway, right? And that means that you have to make a decision that you're going to do it whether you have the support or not. And yes, you can feel lonely, and yes, you can feel hurt, but what is your alternative? Your alternative is that you will stay the same. Your alternative is that you won't actually reach the height that God has prepared for you to reach. Your alternative is that you will miss out on a life of abundance, because you know that's what Jesus said, that he came to give you a life of abundance. And I want you to know that just because you don't have the physical support does not mean that you don't have the backing of heaven. I need to say that again. Just because you don't have the backing of people in your family or even in your friend group does not mean that you do not have the backing of heaven. Heaven backs you up 1000%. When you begin to move into the things that God has told you to do and go after them, heaven assembles. Your Bible says that you are surrounded by a cloud of witnesses. You are surrounded by the greats, people that have gone before you, and now they are watching, cheering you on. They're in a stadium cheering you on. And they have your back, and you have the backing of heaven. And you must understand, and when God is calling you out of your familial lineage, your family narrative, whatever the case may be, he is calling you into greatness. He is calling you into his idea of you. And you must decide to go whether people go with you or not. You have a destiny. Your destiny is singular. This is your life, YOLO, right? This is your life. You only get one. How are you going to live your days on earth? And so I need you to know that you are capable of doing whatever God has told you to do, because what was embedded in his command to you was your ability. He wouldn't have told you to do something that he knew you couldn't do. Now, he would tell you to do something that he knows you can't do without him. But he knows that you have enough strength to start doing it. You have enough wherewithal to go ahead and start executing on the plan that he has given you. But when we feel that people can't go with us, and you know, we know that we're going to miss out on friends and people are going to drop off, we start to stop and we willingly stagnate. And that's just never okay, y'all. We have to understand that come hell or high water, we have to make a decision that we are going to see the goodness of the Lord. And could it be that you don't see the goodness of the Lord is because you haven't allowed the goodness to be invited into your life? You haven't made room for the goodness because you've decided not to walk the path that God told you to walk. If you've been following me for any period of time, you know that on my podcast, when I started talking about resigning from my career, everybody was shook, rightfully so. This is what I worked my entire life for. This is what I knew I wanted to do with my life. And now that I am transitioning out of my dream career and I'm following God and I'm doing what he told me to do, people were shook, like, yo, you wild. And I even felt that I was wild. I even felt like, girl, you tripping. But I knew what God called me to do. I knew the charge that he had issued. I knew what he was inviting me to do. He was inviting me to see that my latter days could actually be greater than my former days. But in order for me to get to the latter days, I had to give up something. And no one wants to give up anything, do they? We don't want to give up the things that we've had, the comforts that we've had, to follow God into an uncomfortable place. But think of your forefather. Think of Abraham. Abraham had to leave his father's house and go to a land that God said that he would show him. Even Abraham's son Isaac had to leave the place where he was at to go to Gerar to reap 100-fold blessing the same year. So what makes you think that you're any different? If, you know, these are the greats in the Bible and they've had to leave and they've had to sojourn and they've had to follow God through uncomfortable seasons and, you know, seasons where they may have felt that they wouldn't have had backing of people, what makes you think that you won't? Because you too are a son or a daughter of Christ. You too are an heir to the throne. But that means that you have to follow. That means that you have to be willing to recklessly abandon everything you once knew. Even if it means losing out on what you once knew in order to grasp what could be. So many people forfeit what could be because they're married to what was. But you'll never make progress and you'll never live an abundant life holding on to old things. You have to stop nurturing at the breast of the old and be willing to step into the new. But that doesn't come without sacrifice. And I'm telling you this to let you know, when God called you to do it, he backed you up fully. As a matter of fact, he gave you reinforcement, which is your angelic help. He has literally invested so much into you that he said, yo, this girl, this guy, they gonna be lit. They're gonna make it. And I'm calling them to do something that they've never done before and no one's ever seen. Know that there is nothing new under the sun, but we've never seen a you before. So you are new under the sun. We've never seen what you can do. We've never seen who you are. We've never seen you do the things that you do the way that you do it. We've never seen those things. So why don't you let us experience you? When God is challenging you to do certain things, y'all, he's challenging you to let your light shine, to be a full expression of what he had in mind before he created you at the foundations of the world. He knew that certain people would not be able to see the vision and understand the vision that he gave you. But guess what? It wasn't a conference call. This was between you and him. This was an A and B conversation. This was him saying, hey, I know that people may not believe in you, but I believe in you so much that I'm going to trust you with my things. I'm going to trust you to move into the unknown. I'm going to trust you to be great because I am great, right? And so I want you to know, if God has called you to be the first in your family, you're a pioneer. Pioneering hurts. Pioneering's hard because you have to break up all the ground. You get the brunt end of the stick. Like, it is ghetto business. Very wicked business sometimes. But I want you to know that you are being trusted to bring people out of their complacency too. So just because they can't see it right now does not mean that they won't be able to see it later. Let me tell y'all a quick thing. In my family, there's this thing, right? Because I've done so much and I've done, you know, whatever. I've done so much. The younger generation, some people would say, everyone can't be like Brianna. And they're true. Everyone cannot be like Brianna. They are absolutely correct. But the narrative recently has started to shift from everyone can't be like Brianna to, hey, Brianna, how did you do this? Or, hey, Brianna, how can I do this? I saw you do this thing. I need to change my life. How can you do this thing? And so what was once resentment in them has now become admiration, because they see, okay, no, I can't do it like her, but maybe she can give me some insight and understanding and wisdom on how I can shorten my journey. And I used to be so upset that they used to say everyone can't be like Brianna. Yes, they're correct. Everyone cannot, but it was kind of, they were saying it shady. You know what I mean? Like, oh, here we go. Little Miss Goody Two Shoes. No, I'm not Goody Two Shoes at all. But what has come full circle is they see me as a wise person. They see the things that I've done and accomplished, and now they're able to appreciate me. And I'm able to pour into them, not hold it against them, not throw things in their face. No, you want to change your life? Let me show you how I did it. So so that you won't have to go this lone ghetto route that I had to go. And that's what it's all about. And so I want you to know that just because they don't see it right now doesn't mean that they won't see it in the near future. You have to run your race. You have to continue moving forward. You have to do it. And because you have to do it, God has given you the backing of heaven. I want to leave you with that. I want to leave you with that encouragement to let you know they're more for you than against you. You're not alone. You are surrounded by a cloud of witnesses, and we all are cheering you on. Let us see how great you are. We can't wait to witness you ascend.